What's up? What's up? All right, you guys and girls, producers, musicians. I am Matt from Music Producer School. Hope you're having a good one today. I'm in a different location today. I'm actually out of town working on a project. So the look is going to be a little different and the audio is going to be a little different because I'm not in my studio today. So just bear with me. I'm going to keep it pretty brief today because I am working on this other project and we're about to head out to go get to it. So I wanted to do a brief one today with you guys about tempo today. So we've covered a few different topics so far. We did some drum programming last week, and I was getting into a little bit more of the actual groove and putting beats on a grid. But I wanted to kind of take a little bit of a more broad look today at tempo. And if you're not super familiar with tempo, you may know what tempo is, but what I wanted to kind of stress to you today is how tempo can change your production for better or for worse. It can make bad production sound better by changing tempo certain ways. It can make a good production sound worse by changing the tempo in certain ways. So I'm going to keep this one probably pretty short, but I wanted to show you also today a couple cool little tricks that I've come across over the years, how I have used these tools to basically study tempo. Because, you know, we have a lot of great examples, obviously, of great songs out there that have already been made and produced over the years. And it's always great to study what they did right so that we can take it into our own productions and make it a little bit, you know, of our own thing. So the first thing I wanted to show you today, actually, the first thing I wanted to do really quickly before we get started is I wanted to remind anyone who's watching now, or if you come in after the live stream, go ahead and make sure that you are a member of the Music Producer School community. I'm going to put the link in the comments on Facebook right now, so if you happen to be catching this later on, be sure to click that and join. I'll approve you as soon as I get a moment to. I also wanted to mention, I'm putting that in the comments right now, so that should be in there. I also wanted to mention I've gotten a ton of messages from everybody, and because I'm out of town working right now, I haven't been as quick getting back to everyone as I normally am. So just be patient, and I will get back to you and answer all of your questions. With that being said, if you do have any questions, be sure to share this live stream so that we can keep the community growing and continue making better and better music, because we're all in this to help each other out. So be sure to hit the share button on this stream, and also be sure to join the Music Producer School community. I think starting next week, I'm going to actually be making some posts where I'm going to get some of the members there to actually start posting some of their songs so that I can take a listen to them and critique them and give you some pointers on maybe what could be good, what could be done better. I've had some people send me some private messages with some songs, but I want to save that for the group because everybody's going to get to learn from that at the same time, and it won't just be one-on-one. The final thing before we get started, I did want to mention, I've had a lot of people message me talking about essentially like private lessons and coaching type stuff. So if you're interested in taking your music to the next level and you really want to get some one-on-one time with me where I can only focus on your stuff specifically, send me a message and let me know if you're interested in doing that, because I'm thinking about offering that as a service. I've just had a ton of people messaging me asking me about that, so I just figured I'd throw that out there. So anytime you have a question, feel free to send me a message. Facebook is the best place to reach me for that. And again, be sure to join the Music Producer School community. The link is in the Facebook comments. So let's go ahead and get started here. I wanted to briefly, like I said, touch on tempo today. And the thing about tempo is, what I've noticed a lot with a lot of producers is they treat it in two different ways. So let me show you something really quickly. if we have a beat, let's say, and I'm just going to work in Ableton today so it'll be quicker. If we have a beat, let's say at 70 BPM, and let's throw in let's make a quick little drum beat here. So let's get, of course, our snare on the 2 and the 4, and then okay, so actually what I was doing here is doing it the other way, where what I wanted to explain today is basically what a lot of producers wind up doing is, instead of producing, let's say, a beat at 70 BPM, where the snare is on the 2 and the 4, they actually double the tempo. And you may have experience with this if you've been producing beats for a little bit now. And basically what happens is, if I'm producing this at let's do the original example first. Let's say at 70 BPM. And typically your snare is going to be on your 2 and your 4 for everything, right? So let's put it on the 2, and then let's bring this over to the 4. I was getting a little ahead of myself in this example. So 2 and the 4, 2 and the 4, 2 and the 4, the 2 and the 4, okay? Okay, so the way to hear this a little better is going to be when I throw in a little hi-hat here. And let's see if I have, let me just throw a little 808 hi-hat. There we go. Okay, so let's throw our hi-hat in now, and that way we can kind of hear the change that's going to happen here. Okay, so just a basic beat, right? So that's kind of like a slow trap basic, thing, right? So what a lot of producers do, and if you're not aware of this trick, it's kind of cool to experiment with sometimes. What they'll do is they'll actually, so this is at 70 BPM, so we're counting this 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4, 3, 2, 3, 4, 4, 2, 3, 4, right? So what they'll do actually is, in order to, what it's doing is they're going to double the tempo. So instead of 70 BPM, they're going to put it at 140. Now let's just listen to this really quickly. Obviously it's different because it's faster, but watch what happens when I take these snares, and instead of on the 2 and the 4, we've doubled the tempo. So what it actually does is it gives you a finer resolution, it's called, in the grid. So instead of all of these grid lines representing, let's say right now they're in eighth notes, they're actually going to be showing you 16th notes, because we doubled the tempo. Now you can do this in reverse, where you half the tempo as well, and that's another variation of this. But essentially what you can do now is, by just doubling the tempo, and then we're just going to put our snare on the 3, watch what happens. And then let's also get rid of some of these kicks. So we're just going to put the kicks on the downbeat, and then we're just going to put these on the 3. So what we're doing here is, again, we're making the resolution finer by speeding it up. So it allows you, without really having to change any of your programming, I can now start breaking up, especially like these hi-hats, and just doing some quick little copy-paste stuff, and you're instantly going to start getting a little more. The place that this really shines when you do this is I find in hi-hat type stuff, percussion type stuff, because that resolution gets a lot more fine, and you have essentially more spots to put stuff in, so you can kind of get more interesting patterns that way. So especially when you hear guys doing like these, they're kind of almost like rolls, I think of them as, with hi-hats. Like, listen to this one. That kind of stuff. And then you can even further break it into triplets, and then you start getting into this kind of stuff. So you probably are familiar with some of those. So that's kind of how you can start getting into, especially with hi-hat type patterns, a little more of those intricate rolls and things like that. And the other cool thing with this is you can always, in any DAW, FL, Cubase, Logic, any of them, you can program stuff, and especially in the beginning when you're starting off a beat or something like that, you can start off, and let's say I started off at 140, and then just for fun, just say, you know what, let's see what would happen at 70. That's the beauty of programming in MIDI. It's going to express, it's going to compress or expand to whatever you choose. So let's see what this would sound like. Let's listen to 140 one more time. Okay, now let's try 70. So right there, you can see instantly I'm getting a different type of feel to the beat. So especially if you're just trying to start something out and get creative. So that's kind of a little bit darker. So the main thing I wanted to show you today is by just changing the tempo, you can completely flip your production, pretty quickly. And it's also a nice little inspirational tool that you can use so that you can also get inspired, get some different ideas going, even if you're just programming drums. I mean, we've only put in a kick, a snare, and a hi-hat at this point, and just by flipping the tempo around, you can kind of, start to inspire yourself in different ways. So another popular thing to do with tempo is, let's go back to our 140 example, and let me go and get these back just straight 8th notes, 16ths, I'm sorry. So if we do that, if you had a beat and let's say you decided to go with the 140 tempo, and the thing is, none of these are really wrong or right, it's just kind of the perspective that you're looking at the tempo at. So 70 BPM and 140 BPM are in essence the same thing. There are some examples where it gets a little bit more complex than that, but for the most part it's the same thing. It's just however you choose to break your grid down to program this stuff. Now, me personally, I did want to mention this. I personally like to program my beats so that the snare is always on the 2 and the 4 in most, I would say about 99% of the cases, because that always allows me to know where I am in the measure. I'm just not comfortable counting with the snare on the 3. That's just not a normal kind of musical thing that most people do, especially I'm a live musician as well, so I'm always thinking of that snare as my bass, like my home bass on the 2 and the 4. So I prefer to program stuff in the lower BPM. If it was between, say, 70 and 140, I would want to go to 70, so that way I can just immediately, without having to do a whole bunch of looking, I can just know, okay, I need to get my snare on the 2 and the 4, I'm going to copy it over here, and now I'm done. Now, the last thing that I wanted to talk about really quickly today before I wrap it up, like I said, I'm going to keep it short today because I'm about to have to head out to go work on this other project. What I wanted to briefly introduce to you guys today was this kind of like a study tool that I want you, kind of almost like a homework assignment, to go get one of these tools. And what I want you to do is take some of your favorite songs. This is kind of a thing that I learned through DJing, and DJing was just phenomenal for my producer career because I had to just constantly be listening to music that was hit songs, great stuff that worked in clubs, on the radio. So I essentially started studying this stuff. and tempo became a big part of that. And what I wanted to show you was a couple of these tools that I would use. So one of the best ones I would say you can get, it's called Mixed in Key. So let me just show you that really quickly. Mixed in Key. So Mixed in Key is cool because what you can do is it's just this little interface where if you pull up basically any of your MP3s, and for example, let's take this guy. I can just grab an MP3 and throw it on here, and you can see that it's processing it. So we've got Drake 0 to 100, and it's processing, and now it says it's completed, and it's going to tell you what the tempo is. It'll also tell you pretty accurately most of the time what the key of the song is as well. We'll get into that on another topic, but the tempo here, it's telling me 99.99. So essentially, what it's telling me, you can usually round these up or down. It's basically telling me this is at 100 BPM. So what I want you to do is kind of like a little bit of a homework assignment. Go get either Mixed in Key. Another one that you can use is, I believe, Virtual DJ has a free version where you can download it and you can load up songs and it'll process like this. Let me show you just so you're clear on which one I'm talking about. So this program, virtualdj.com, I believe it has a free version that you can get. They used to anyway. And that will allow you to actually analyze any of these songs, and it'll give you the tempo as well. Another one that you can check out, I believe is free, is for Pioneer DJ systems, which is called Rekordbox. Rekordbox, I believe, is free. Yeah, you see they have a free plan here. And what that's going to allow you to do is you'll be able to download it. You won't necessarily be able to DJ with this. You'll be able to play music, but you can't really mix music with it. But what it's going to allow you to do is analyze your songs so that you can actually just dump some of your favorite MP3s into this thing, and it'll tell you the BPM. And what I want you to do is try it with some different genres of music, because the thing that you're going to learn is that certain genres tend to kind of stay in certain BPM ranges. And when you learn that, another cool thing is you can start basically, like I got to the point from DJing so much that if you told me any BPM, I can pretty much reference in my mind a song that I know is at about that BPM. And this is all the way from 70 BPM all the way up to, 140, 150 BPM. So if you told me, hey, almost down to where I can count it out, because I always have a song reference that I can think about that I know is at that BPM. So, for example, what's a good one? Like if you told me, hey, what's a song at, 94 BPM, or let's say 95 BPM, in the range. So 95 BPM. So I'm from New Orleans originally, so I'm sure some of you guys have heard the song Back That Ass Up from Juvenile, Cash Money Records from back in the day. So I know that song in my head. So I can almost hear the song in my head, and I could count out 95 BPM pretty accurately. There's other stuff like house music, EDM stuff, where it's going to be in that 120 to 130 BPM range for more club type stuff, dance music. All of your trap type stuff is going to be, again, you can think of it as 70 BPM or 140. I like to think of it more in the 70 to 75 BPM range. A lot of classic hip-hop like Notorious B.I.G. and some of the stuff like that is usually more in like that 85 BPM range. There's a lot of dance hip-hop stuff like hip-hop club songs that are in that 75 to 80 BPM range. So there's no hard and fast rules, but what I want you to do is go get one of these programs and just take maybe like 10 of the songs that you really like from different genres, dump them into those programs and see what the BPMs are. Because what's going to happen is when you get into the studio, again, I'm trying to just basically teach you problem solving skills. Because what happens when you get in the studio with an artist is they come in and maybe you're working on something and they all of a sudden say, man, I would like for this to have more of like a tropical feel. And you're like, all right, I know what, a tropical like marimba sounds like, but how do you, besides just putting an instrument on there, how do you give the whole song the feel of that? So that's what you need to know. Oh, thank you.
Room service.
Oh, thank you very much. So that's basically what you need to be thinking about, because you're going to have all these problems that are going to come up that you want to be able to quickly identify what is the artist trying to really say here. So for me, if I knew, let me finish it off with this quick example here. So if I knew the artist was telling me, hey, I want something to feel kind of, I want something to feel kind of tropical. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to think, okay, what's a tropical kind of BPM? So I might think of maybe, let's say like Rihanna, for example. So I know immediately some Rihanna songs that have a little bit of that tropical vibe to them, and I already know immediately what tempo I can go to and how the drums need to be programmed. And that's just to build this solid foundation that once you get it built, the artist is going to hear it, they're going to feel it, they're going to say, oh yeah, that's what I was talking about. They're going to be inspired, and they're going to start, writing their lyrics, or maybe if they're a musician, they're going to start playing some chords on it. And that's kind of, as the producer, it's not just about programming drums, it's not just about, making beats. It's like I said, it's all about problem solving, and you're usually on the clock in the studio. So you need to be able to problem solve quickly. So for example, like I said, I know Rihanna, I could do something at kind of like let's say 108 BPM, and let me get a quick little kick going. So yeah, I know it's going to be kind of like a 4 on the floor type thing. So let's try something like, let's try something like this. So 4 on the floor. And then I know we're going to have that with that tropical feel. I know that we're going to have kind of like a bit of a percussion or a hi-hat type hit. Let's just do our 2 and our 4 like I told you. So we got this so far. Let's try this one. This one should be good. So I know the tempo is good here, but now what we need to do is we need to get that nice little bit of percussion in there to give it that fully tropical feel. So watch this. You'll start to recognize this when it starts getting a go here. So that's that little up kind of thing that you hear in those tropical more kind of vibes. So here we go. So I'm going to play this one more time and start trying to think of, like the Rihanna lyric that would go on top of this, maybe with a nice kind of vibed out chord type of a thing. This is what you need to be able to get to quickly for the artist when they're saying that they want to have a certain feel for something, so. And then maybe the artist says, okay, that's cool, but it's a little too happy. So you're like, okay, it's a little too happy. What's the first thing I can do to make it a little darker? Well, the first thing we could do is slow it down a little bit. So let's bring it down to like 100, let's say. So now, again, like I said, with just a couple of these little variations in tempo, we're able to kind of zero in on what an artist may or may not want. So again, I'm not able to expand on this too much with instruments right now because I'm out of town. But I did want to get this discussion started this week with you guys about tempo because it's just so important. There's so many things you can do with it. And it's not even necessarily, like I said, the actual programming of the beats, but you can change the feel of your production completely with tempo. So go grab one of those programs, drop some of your favorite songs in there, and start studying and seeing, what genres tend to use what tempos. We'll have some more discussion on this on Thursday. So our next class is going to be Thursday at the same time, 11 a.m. Central Time. Don't forget to go into the Facebook comments and join. I put the link to the Music Producer School community. Join that because I think next week I'm going to start allowing people to post their songs. You can post your song there, and I'll start critiquing some and giving you some examples of what you can be doing, whether it's mixing, drum patterns, chords, all of that stuff, melodies, lyrics, the whole thing. And we're going to start getting that discussion started over in the Music Producer School community. So be sure to join that. I'm going to be back, like I said, on Thursday. And once again, you guys, be sure to hit share on this. Let's spread the love. I hope y'all have a great day. I have to run now so I can go work on this other project. But hey, that's the life of a working producer. So it's good to be working. And I hope y'all have a great day. I will see y'all again on Thursday.